Good evening, peeps. Good evening. All right. What is there to talk about today? Let's have a look. Okay. There's a couple of bits. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. All right, let's start with the big dog, Canelo. He takes on Avni Yildirim in the early hours of Sunday morning for us UK boxing fans. Have you guys seen the picture of them two face to face? Canelo is a small man. Like, he is giving away a lot in size and reach and maybe, I was going to say power, but Canelo is such a powerful man, isn't he? So maybe not power, but yeah, there's clearly a size difference here and a size advantage for Avni Yildirim. Will that make a difference? I doubt it. I mean, I was speaking to Gareth A. Davis today, and he thinks this fight doesn't go more than sort of 4 rounds. Don't know. I think it might go a bit more than that. But we'll see. I was trying to think, is Avni Yildirim better than Rocky Fielding? Probably is. Like, he is probably better than that. And I think he's going to show that. I think if he is going to go out, he's going to go out on his shield. I know us Brits remember, obviously, the Chris Eubank Jr. fight. I think he might be a bit better than that now. He might. And I think Chris Eubank Jr. just caught him. Chris Eubank Jr., I don't know if you guys remember the fight, caught him cold. I think it might have been in the first round. Chris Eubank Jr. landed an uppercut. And we know Chris Eubank Jr. likes to land that shot that knocked him down. He didn't recover from that, if I'm honest with you. So, look, I think it's going to be an exciting fight whilst it lasts. And I feel like it might go around 5-6. That's it. If it goes longer than that, I'll be very, very shocked. I think Canelo's going to do exactly what Canelo does and just march him down and then just get rid of him. I do. But I can't lie to you, I was a bit surprised by the size difference. I'm looking at the photo now. And by the way, this Canelo's tracksuit, this blue tracksuit is shocking. Not that that means anything, just a shocking tracksuit. But yeah, it's going to be a good little scrap, this one. What's on the undercard of this? I was thinking about doing a live watch along like I have been doing. You guys seem to enjoy them, but it's going to be at like 3 or 4 in the morning, so we're not doing that. If it was like midnight or even 1 o'clock, I would do it, but I'm not doing a live watch along until 4 or even 5 in the morning. No siree. So obviously Canelo versus Avni Yildirim, 21-2 is Yildirim. Julio Cesar Martinez takes on McWilliams Arroyo. Cesar Martinez, you guys know him by now, the guy that came over here and bashed up Charlie Edwards. You got that heavyweight that everyone's talking about, this Zhou Zhang, the Chinese heavyweight. He takes on Jerry Forrest. Interesting little scrap, that one. And then you got a couple of prospects. You got Diego Pacheco. I did. I actually saw him in Saudi Arabia. He fought on the undercard of AJ Ruiz, Alexis Espino, Mark Castro, and then Aaron Aponte. Look, I always think when it's the big boys like Canelo and Floyd, I don't necessarily care about the undercard. I know you should, but I don't really care. I'm just watching it because of Canelo. Obviously, we can watch it. I'll say we. Those of you that have the DAZN app can watch it, so I will be watching it on that DAZN app. If I find out the time, so if, for example, Canelo is ring walking at 1 in the morning, we are going to do a live watch along. But if it's anything later than that, there's absolutely no point. Does anyone out there thinks that Avni Yildirim can cause what will be one of the biggest upsets in boxing history if he beats Canelo? It will be that big. It'll be massive if he beats him. Bear in mind that Canelo is literally already booked in to fight Billy Joe Saunders in May. It's not been announced, but it's a done deal. Like, there's no doubt he will announce it after the fight if he wins, but that fight's a done deal. Avni Yildirim should not come and cause a problem here, please. What's this one? Conor Benn reacts to Florian Marcoux. I've got bigger fish to fry. He has got bigger fish to fry. Vargas is, decent. I was going to say world level. Vargas isn't world level, but he's a good fighter, Vargas. Solid fighter. Let's not forget the person that knocked him out, because everyone's he's coming off a knockout loss. Virgil Ortiz, my man. Virgil Ortiz, who everyone is extremely high on. Let's not forget as well, when Vargas was last over here, put Amir Khan down. I think people seem to forget that. So Vargas can fight. Conor Ben's going to have to weather a storm here. There's going to be a gut check. We saw Josh Kelly have a gut check. Was Avanesian. There's going to be a gut check in this fight as well. So Conor Ben does have bigger fish to fry, and I hope that he is really 100% dialed in on Vargas. Because for me, you speak to boxing people and take away, so it's difficult because I've got a bit of a British bias, but you ask other people that don't have it, people think Vargas is going to beat Conor Ben. Obviously, I've got a British bias, so I'm going to say I think Conor Ben can do it, but me thinking and me knowing are two completely different things. Thingy fights this weekend as well. Joseph Parker, he takes on Junior Farr. Now, there's been this back and forth with whether or not this fight is on DAZN. The reason I say that is because Eddie Hearn said it was on DAZN. DAZN have come out and says it's not. So this fight is not on DAZN. We're not going to be able to watch it. So yeah, there's no way to watch this fight. I don't know if anyone's going to try and do what you guys do to watch it, but this fight's not on DAZN, which is massively disappointing. Massively. Gutted by that. I don't know what's going on, but it's not. But yeah, Joseph Parker fights. Now, if Joseph Parker comes through that fight unscathed, no problems, he is set to take on Derek Chisora, I think May or June. So yeah, again, another fight that will probably be announced after the fight if Joseph Parker comes through that one. I wouldn't mind seeing that. It was supposed to happen anyway, wasn't it? Until, was it Joseph Parker got a spider bite or something random like that? So I don't mind seeing Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora. Someone on the live stream yesterday mentioned Otto Volin versus either one of those guys. I like that. I mean, someone mentioned Otto Volin versus Hughie Fury. I love that fight. Absolutely love that fight. Again, always say it, it's the greatest time to be a heavyweight boxer. I mean, you got someone like Derek Chisora. Don't want to be disrespectful, but I think Derek Chisora is up to 10 losses now. So we'll look. I think it's 10. Is it 10? Yeah, 10 losses. But Derek Chisora still will get big fights. Like, he's going from a loss to Usyk to fighting Joseph Parker, who has to come off a win. So that's crazy, but that's, again, it's the greatest time to be a heavyweight boxer. It really is. What we got here? Shakur Stevenson. Valdez put on a masterclass performance. Now it's time to deliver this fight. It was a great performance. Shakur Stevenson was getting interviewed ringside, I think it's either by Fight Hub or Fight Hype. And he's very respectful about the performance. You can tell he studies the game because he was speaking about the punches that Valdez was throwing, his foot movement. He was studying Valdez like that is his next opponent, which it isn't, but he's studying him. It's a great fight. I personally would rather see Loma come down to 130 and Valdez Loma. But I have no problem with whatever matchups you want to do. Remember, there is Carl Frampton versus Jamal Herring as well. So there's about 4 or 5 guys in there that could all match up well with each other. But personally, if I was to pick a opponent for Valdez next, it would be Vasyl Lomachenko. Although Gervonta Davis has now piped up about fighting Valdez. Remember, I thought Gervonta Davis was out for a long time with his hand injury, but his hand injury is fine. He wants to get back in the ring in June. Let's see. I think it does. That alone, though, with Gervonta Davis saying that, it does tell us, I think, that Gervonta Davis is staying at 130. I thought that fight against Leo Santa Cruz was his last fight at 130. He's going to go to 135. Looks like he might stay around at 130. There's now all of a sudden some decent money fights at 130. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Broner on Prograis fight. I don't see that next, but I'm going to F him up. He says that a lot, Broner. Although, again, I don't know if you guys watched the live yesterday, but on the live I was saying that, look, Broner's been out the ring for 2 years. Considering he's been out the ring for 2 years, hasn't won a fight since he beat Granados in 2017. We know the issues he has outside the ring. I wasn't too upset about that performance. I know some people have given it stick, but I'm like, well, wait a minute. This guy hasn't fought, actually hasn't had a fight, well, apart from the ones outside, but hasn't had a fight in the ring for nearly 800 days. I wasn't too upset about the performance. With regards to him fighting Prograis next, ain't happening. I saw the interview when he mentioned Prograis and he was kind of like, nah, not yet. But if it is Prograis, then I'll fuck him up. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we'll do that one. So I think he knows as well that he's not ready for a Prograis type. I actually don't know if he'll ever be ready, if I'm honest with you. Broner's an interesting one because when I was speaking to someone today about Broner, they were like, wait a minute, you say he hasn't won a fight for 4 or 5 years, whatever, up until the weekend. I mean, look who he was fighting. Pac-Man, Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas was the draw. They're no slouch. I mean, they're not slouches at all. And I don't think he was living the life when he's fighting Vargas either. So let's see. I'm giving him a lot of excuses, but let's see if Broner can stay busy. He's talking about 2 or 3 fights this year. Stay busy. And at the end of the year, if he has been busy, then a Prograis fight makes sense. And let's see what Broner can do. Let's see. I still hold a bit of hope for Broner just because I don't want to see Broner not doing anything because it scares me to think of what will happen if Broner kind of slips out of boxing again. It scares me. Don't forget, remember Broner's car was shot up. Don't know if you guys know this. It was shot up about 2 or 3 years ago. The whole side of these, I think it was an Escalade, all shot up. So that's Broner. If Broner is not focusing on things in the ring, outside the ring, he's a menace to himself. Andre Ward, Oscar Valdez knew when to fight and when to box. Yeah, it was a great performance. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Please go and watch it. It's such a great performance. And he hurts Miguel Bichel, but where most fighters would jump in, he takes his time. He really does take his time, and I think it's a really good performance. Look, I thought Valdez was good under Manny Robles. Manny Robles is the former trainer of Andy Ruiz. That's who he was with. But now he's gone up another level with Reynoso and that whole camp. He took his time. Even when Miguel Bichel started to force the action, and that's what Miguel Bichel definitely did, he took his time and then he started landing some clean shots and hurt Miguel Bichel on so many occasions. So many. Yeah, such a good performance. Honestly, one of the best performances I've seen from an underdog in a while. I think the only one I can think that was really a good performance from an underdog was, there's been a few, but I think Sean Porter was good against Errol Spence. Danita Donaire was good against Inoue, but the fact is they lost. This was an underdog that won. Really good performance. What else we got here? Okay, Craig Richards is hoping Dmitry Bivol title clash gets finalised for April. I don't like this fight. I think I've said my piece on it before, but I'm going to say it again just in case you didn't hear it on the live. Look, let's kind of me clarify what I mean by this. I like Craig Richards. I like him a lot. I think he's a good boxer. And I understand if I'm Craig Richards, the money for this fight is going to be a lot more than I've had before. And I'm fighting for a world title. Why would I not say no to why would I say no to that? I get it. I just don't think Craig Richards is ready for Dmitry Bivol. Now, someone said on the live when I said this, someone was like, well, he's never going to be ready. Someone thinks, okay, he's not going to get to world level. And if that's your opinion, then that makes sense, right? If you're not going to get to world level and someone's offering you a world title fight, you take it. I just would like to see him be built a bit more. I think the only problem is Craig Richards could be 30. Let's have a look. I just feel like they're feeding him to the wolves. They're feeding him to the bloody wolves. Yeah, he's 30, 31 in April. Maybe you just got to take it. Maybe you just got to take it, right? I don't like it just because I don't think he can win that fight. I really don't. I think Bivol's very, very good. But at 31 in April, you just take the fight. Again, it's a big paycheck and who knows. But yeah, but for me personally, as soon as I heard the fight, I was like, come on, this is silly. But 31 in April, you're in this sport to make money and to win belts. He's won a couple of fringe belts, like British level belts. Now, I've seen bigger upsets, put it that way, in the sport of boxing, but this would be massive. But yeah, good luck to him. If that's what he wants, then hey, fuck it. All right, last couple of bits, peeps. Alexander Usyk versus Joe Joyce. Hearn expects the fight to go to a purse bid. So they couldn't agree without it getting to a purse bid. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm guessing that Joe's still with Queensberry and Frank because Eddie Hearn has said he's going to bid. I've read this article this morning. He's going to bid. Obviously, I think if he bids, then it's likely that his bid blows out Frank Warren's bid, if I'm honest with you. But will he bid it as though this fight will be billed as a pay-per-view on Sky? Not sure, man. Not sure. I mean, there's a part of me that says this is a bit more than your Saturday night fight. In today's market anyway. Don't know if it's a pay-per-view though. Don't know. The only thing that he might do, and which makes sense now, is that obviously we're hearing, thank God, that fans will be allowed back in quite big numbers by May. So I guess you're talking about some decent gate revenue there as well, because Usyk Joe Joyce at the O2. Remember, you can't have, it's not a full capacity. I think it's 30% capacity or something along those lines. But that means you're still going to get in 6,000. So maybe bids bearing that in mind. So I don't know. But is it a pay-per-view? I mean, would you take Alexander Usyk versus Joe Joyce and co-main event Chisora versus Parker as a pay-per-view late May? Some would. Anything else before we wrap up? Couple of bits here about Otto Volin. Says, my ultimate goal is to become champion. I have to keep on improving. Yeah, he does need improvement. I watched that fight, not full, but quite a bit of highlights. And yeah, it was a bit sloppy. Everything was just, yeah, I'm not going to watch it again, put it that way. So he does need to make improvements. But the thing for him is that there are so many fights out there. So let's see what he can do. I think he will make improvements. Otto Volin, decent amateur record, by the way. I don't know if you guys have actually had a look at his amateur record. A lot of fallout about this Josh Kelly fight with Avanesian in terms of whether or not this fight should have been made. Was Josh Kelly deserving of a European shot? Did they fast track him too much? There's a few things, I guess, in that. I don't know, man. I don't know. They've obviously looked at Avanesian. I mean, this fight could have happened like 2 or 3 times in the past, and they kept on rescheduling it. So they've obviously looked at Avanesian and thought there's something there. There's something in Avanesian. Maybe they've looked at the losses to Kavialaskas and looked at the loss to Lamont Peters and thought, okay, we can do something here. I don't know what they saw. This is sometimes you roll the dice, right? If his numbers came up and he beat Avanesian, he did stumble him in, didn't he, in the 2nd or 3rd round, then it's a different fight if he knows how to capitalize on it. The fact is, he just isn't experienced enough. He isn't experienced enough. He's not had those gut checks in the past. So when it does happen, he's used to it and he's like, okay, I know this feeling before. I know how to deal with it. All that was foreign to him. And that's it, really. There is a lot of talk about him going to 154. I mean, over here in this country, I think 154 makes sense. If you think of the likes of Fowler and Cheeseman, I mean, these are possibly winnable fights, even though those guys have been through gut checks themselves and have done quite well. It's possible winnable fights. When I think of the bigger scale, and he will be thinking of the bigger scale because he's that kind of fighter, Olympian, it gets a bit scary, especially when you think about those guys over there, over the pond. I say over there like that's the way to America, but you know what I'm talking about. They're massive. They're massive. They're skillful. They can punch. They've all got experience at fighting at world level. That's daunting. But he's only had, 12 fights, so we're not even talking about that for a couple of years. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm more interested to see who Avanesian fights. Obviously, he's signed to Matchroom. I think someone talked about Crawford, and I kind of laughed. Like, Crawford is not fighting. Why is Crawford going to fight Avanesian? Like, come on, man, stop it. It'd be interesting to see who he fights at world level at 147. Could he fight a Danny Garcia type person? Porter? We've seen Porter fight the guy that Conor Bemby. I forgot his name now. So Porter could fight him surely. So there are some names out there. And I guess with Matchroom's pool, we'll see what he can do. But again, though, it comes back to this PBC thing and working with DAZN. I mean, how much has Eddie got to offer the likes of Danny Garcia and Porter to fight Avanesian? I mean, I know he likes Avanesian, but I don't think he wants to offer that much money. So we'll see. Guys, again, if I find out that the Canelo versus Yildirim fight is around 1 in the morning, we are going to do a live. But for now, we're not going to do it. But I will put something on the community tab and we are going to do it. But to be fair, I'll probably make a couple of more videos between now and then anyway to let you guys know. Peace.